Hello fellow treasure hunters, welcome back. In the last segment of our hunt on England, the original island of Oak, we unlocked an incredible story. A journey that fellow treasure hunters have astounded the world of religion with. Through reading the tale and the astounding background knowledge that Graham Phillips, the author of the book, and a fellow relic hunter possesses in regards to the case, I feel I have also developed some very intriguing leads myself into the location of the treasure. By using invaluable information provided by Graham, I have ventured forward with a different form of investigative methodology. But firstly, I would like to take us back to a time of warrior monks, jousting, damsels in distress, courageous knights trained by the kings of countries, and most importantly of all, undiscovered, priceless relics from an era of religious kings. At this time of pillaging and conquest, important religious relics were in very high demand. In such high demand, in fact, certain figures in history were well known as brazen thieves of such items, for instance the short tale of St. Hugh and Mary Magdalene. Hugh was the Bishop of Lincoln and was a guest at the Abbey of Fécamp in about 1190, when he was shown by the monks their precious mummified arm of Mary. In spite of their protests, he attempts to break a piece off in front of them. Finding it too hard, he bites off one of the rotting fingers. With such demand for important relics, some inevitably fetching high prices, the market was rife with forgeries. Authentication was often required, for instance, sucking a mummified finger to see if it relieved you of your illness. There are, for example, over 500 currently known objects claimed to be the Holy Grail. The Welsh Nantio's cup is but one interesting example among many. This supposed priceless chalice was stolen in 2014, and you would have thought such a superstitious item would not get much attention from police forces. However, West Mercia Police set up a special task force to track down the relic, successfully finding it 2 years later and returning it to its quote, anonymous owners, plural. In 1977, the cup was displayed at the National Library of Wales, Aberystwyth, as part of celebrations to mark the 700th anniversary of the granting of the town's charter. Specialists from the Royal Commission on the Ancient and Historical Monuments of Wales used the opportunity to examine the cup, and concluded that it dated from the late Middle Ages. Following the recovery of the cup, the owners placed it in the care of the National Library of Wales, where it went on permanent public display in 2016. So even to this day relics are highly prized. So what would happen if a relic was found to have supernatural powers, an object that emitted plasma, an object that was followed by a cloudy sky, an object witnessed by many, but possessed by none? The implications of such an item are obvious. It is something religious leaders will have fought over for millennia. The desire for such relics is enormous, but is there any evidence to say that it was ever found? Well, I believe yes, and I believe this discovery was made under the Temple of Solomon. I have also previously covered the evidence of sacred relics being held in England, due to a safety audit done on my suspected treasure finder, Sir Ralph de Sudilly. We know Templar treasures, listed as artifacts the sacred, were indeed brought back to England. These sacred artifacts would have gone unnoticed in the records, and I, along with others such as Graham Phillips, may never have found the links, if it wasn't for de Sudilly's lavish spending. Before his return to England with said artifacts, de Sudilly was an average middle-class noble, on the hunt like so many others for riches. A man who came home and instantly began a life of luxury and extravagance. As by some coincidence a castle would be erected in the place of Warwickshire in his home county Gloucestershire, which by some other but larger coincidence which truly shocked me, is where I live now. And the aptly named Sudilly Castle is a place I know well, but clearly not well enough. Ralph de Sudilly's era was the 1100s. I believe this was Ralph's castle. I will visit the castle next week, and the next segment will include my findings. Enter the Knights Templar. De Sudilly became wealthy pretty much instantly after his return home, and with this money he founded the Knights Templar. The connection between the Ark and the Templars now becomes clear. The motives for their creation also begins to come into view. If you possess such important relics which bring you wealth and power, and something you clearly respect, in this era of lawlessness, a secret order of knights, and enlisting a secret sect of Masons, enter the Freemasons. For hiding treasures would be a logical move, security, insurance and safety. Graham Phillips eloquently covers the evidence and hypothesis regarding Sudilly finding the Ark in his book The Templars and the Ark of the Covenant. But what happened to the Ark? Where did all the money come from if not the sale of the item? The relics were always hunted with an eye for selling them, but if that was the case, why build an order of trained knights around the object? Why enlist and create Freemasonry, and most importantly, why build Oak Island? Remember the Epiphany window? Clues were followed within the window, and under an aqueduct an onyx stone was found. This stone could only have come from one place, and it isn't England. Not only an onyx was found, Graham Phillips, Jolie and Graham Russell also successfully recovered a beryl and jasper stone, and they belong in a rather important piece of clothing. It is thought these stones match perfectly the last bow found in the breastplate of Judgment. Legend states that these stones were, at times, used to determine gods were in a particular situation. This garment is also not native to England, and these stones could only have travelled to England prior to Columbus. After following the Rose line back to England, finding a matching heart stone, upon our arrival, we have also traced the name of the island, the origin of the oak, our coin and the cross. We have been led to this point. It proves our journey correct. Whether this be another decoy is a question I have been asking. So what I am about to share with you now are the results of those questions, things that have lay under my nose throughout my entire quest, as so often has been the case with the most astounding connections. Throughout my investigation I have endeavored to chase leads, not listen to tales. And the Sudilly is most definitely a lead. I found it interesting that Gloucestershire was his home county. I found it even more interesting when I started noticing clues connecting the county specifically to the Grail Chalice, in particular Cheltenham, where Sudeley Castle is located. Cheltenham is known for a huge ceremony that happens each year. This event is said to have given Cheltenham its affectionate nickname. However, I've begun to suspect it may have been because of something else. Supposedly, because of a horse race that has been religiously held in Cheltenham since the 1800s, the town has conveniently acquired the title, the home of the Gold Cup. It is also coincidentally the chosen home of the British government headquarters, built in a specific shape, known locally as the Donut. I'll let you make your own mind up as to what it looks like. The Donut was built as an upgrade to the old headquarters, which was also a huge structure just a mile away. Were these buildings built to protect an incredibly powerful holy relic? Was the Ark or the Grail kept at Sudeley throughout this entire time, throughout all the painful quests for it? Only ever moving a few miles into a high-security armored structure? As always, thanks for watching, stay tuned for more.